You're planning a video shoot on a location. Maybe it's for your YouTube channel, you're shooting a short film, or collecting some B-roll. Whatever the purpose, there are some basic questions about that location you need answered and do some research around in order to be prepared for what you're gonna need. I'm gonna go over those major areas that you need to look into so that you can minimize the issues that you run into and you can save as much time when you shoot on set. Welcome to Pond5 Focus, Adventures in the World of Digital Filmmaking, where we give you the inside tips you need to make great video. The location you're going to shoot on already has a purpose. It's a home where people live, or it's an office or warehouse where people work. You are temporarily changing its purpose for the day to a video shoot, and that means a bunch of work might have to be done and planning in order to do that. On big jobs, there's so much money involved that they'll have a paid scout day where we go there and we go over it in detail. So if you can, visit the location and get these questions I'm going to go over answered. If you can't, you got to speak to somebody who knows the location, manages it, or do research, but get as many of these questions answered as possible, because time isn't your friend on a shoot day. You're trying to keep that window of shots and the work you need to prep and light for all of those shots. You're trying to keep that time and not lose it, and any problem that gets in the way eats into that time, because time is the mind killer. Time is a little death that brings total obliteration. No, actually, time is just a measurement of, but it's definitely not your friend on a film set. Don't worry, we're gonna take care of you. We're gonna get this all handled. What existing light or non-existing light are you going to have to deal with on a location? Are you shooting in a room with no windows or just one small one? Or are you shooting in a room with huge windows facing south, and you know that it's going to be a sunny, cloudless day on the day you shoot? Both are problems. More than likely you're bringing lights, but you may need to bring more for those windowless rooms for accent lights and all that besides your key and fill. You might need to boost up the ambient by popping a light into the ceiling. For that big window, you may need to bring in a silk in order to help diffuse that direct sunlight that's coming in, or you might even have to block it off completely. Are there any lights that you need to turn off? We take for granted that there's a light switch, but if you're shooting in an office, there may be areas like the hallway and conference rooms where there are no switches. It's all controlled on timers or in some locked room. And it might be fine, but if they're tungsten balanced and the windows have beautiful daylight coming in, not a good match. So you might need to find out who you have to talk to at this location, maintenance guy, whoever, who can get access to turning those lights off for you. Or you might have to be prepared to gel them individually for all of your shots, or block them out completely with duvetine, show card, whatnot. If you're not recording audio on the location, good for you. Breathe a sigh of relief. You're shooting MOS, mid-out sound. A lot of problems go away. But if you're not, that's fine. Sound's important. Here's the deal. Every location has a audio print, a sound print of what is in the background. Is it near a busy road? Are there deliveries made on a regular basis because you're shooting in a warehouse? We get used to the sounds around us in an environment, but as soon as the camera comes on and everyone's quiet and you're ready for talent to read that line, you hear everything. Two main culprits are the AC and refrigerators. Find out if you can unplug them during takes, or if there's someone you need to get hold of or have access to who can do that for you. I had an interview shoot recently where we had to wait almost an hour for the maintenance guy to drive up, open the locked room only he had a key to in order to get to the AC control and turn it off. Time. That cut into time. Also, get room tone. Even though you've turned everything off and it's quiet, there is an underlying background sound in that space that's unique. I like to get room tone at the end of a take. I'll let everyone know ahead of time, and when we don't call cut when I say cut in action, I'll just say, okay, everyone quiet, we're doing room tone. And the audio person, or me if I'm in the camera, just keeps recording. It's easy because everyone's already quiet. Everyone's already in that be quiet, we're shooting mode. Just like audio, visually we just sort of take what's in a room for granted over time. But as soon as you set up the camera and line up your shot, you start to notice things that kind of get in the way. So you need to know, is it okay and how to take picture frames off the walls? I shot in offices where they were screwed in, and we had to, the maintenance guy had to come and take it off the walls, so we weren't liable for screwing up the wall. Can you move the furniture around? Can you bring in your own props? Can you take props out? Just asking these questions can bring up a lot of stuff that you need to know beforehand from whoever lives or manages that space. What are you allowed to do? What are you not allowed to do? Are there mirrors you're gonna have to deal with that can't be moved? Like, are you shooting in a dance studio where one whole wall is nothing but mirrors? You might have to bring enough black cloth duvetine to cover up that, or cover it up for every single shot. You might have to use props in the space or bring your own to prop things out, like, throw a plan over there to block out a plug or something in your shot, right, that's just getting in the way. What rooms or space are you not going to be shooting in that location? I like to have my camera gear right near the camera when I'm shooting, as close as possible, because I'm going to need stuff, and sometimes quickly. So if I'm only seeing part of the room, great, I've got a space that's off camera. But I need to be mindful of the fact that a light might need to go there, or that we may do a reverse, and what was off camera is now on camera, and it has to all move, and that takes time. What other rooms in the space are available to use that you're not going to shoot in, where you can put talent, food, the hair and makeup if you're going to have a hair and makeup person, and store other gear, grip, electric, camera, whatever. In other words, you want to get people off set. Even on a small shoot, the set can get filled up with lights and gear and people pretty quickly, and it can become a morass to navigate and move around in. So any stuff and people that can be offset while you're setting up and shooting, the better. This also means finding out, are there any rooms or spaces that are off limits or have some sort of special requirements if anyone's going to go over there? Are there any concerns about power in the location? These days with LED lights, which draw very little amperage, it's so less of a problem than it used to be back in the days when we used pretty much nothing but tungsten lights, and we had the issue of tripping breakers. But you still want to find out, you might be shooting in an old office warehouse, you might be shooting in an old apartment, and I've had this happen where there's one breaker and everything in the house is tied into it, and as soon as we plug the lights into it, that breaker tripped. So find out where not only the outlets are, but where the breaker is in case something goes wrong, and so you can see how many amps you're actually dealing with. You're also going to need to run power not only for the lights and the camera, but also for the coffee machine, hair and makeup station if you have one. How many stingers, extension cords, will you need to bring? Not just for the lights, but for all the other uses, battery charging station, the television monitor, etc., etc. You and the crew need to get to a location and get in with your gear and then eventually get out. Sounds easy, but so much can go wrong that will lose you time and cut into your shoot day. So this is a big one where you want to be prepared. Everybody uses Google Maps these days, so it's great until it's not. There are issues where it'll have two different locations depending on how people put the address in. So double check it and make sure you find out any problems ahead of time so you can let people know. Make sure you type the address exactly like this or give them the actual map. Using the map on your phone is great unless it's a remote location where you lose cell service. You want to check that. And if that's the case, you might want to tell people to print it out or get them printed maps in an email. Is there parking? Is there an area where we're only allowed to park? If there's no parking, where can you find parking for the crew? Can you temporarily bring the truck or car with the gear to unload? Where can you load it in? Some locations, particularly offices, don't like you bringing in gear through their beautiful glass doors and their art-covered lobby. Even if it's all in nice bags and whatnot. You may have to use a service entrance. There might be stipulations about how you deal with security there. There might be restrictions on using the elevator and the time you can use it if you need to use one. So they're all things we normally take for granted. You've got to find out if you're in that type of location, even if it's a apartment complex, especially if there might be a lot of restrictions about using those elevators and how gear comes in and out. Getting in and later getting out takes up time that could cut into your shots. This is a big one. Be prepared. Get those. Find out what you're going to be dealing with when you're there so that you don't deal with it on your shoot day. Because time is not on your side. It is a precious commodity when you're shooting. I know I'm saying that over and over again. I just really want to make it so clear because I want you to be able to get all those shots, right, that you want to get and get them to the level of quality that you want so you can make a great film, great video, right? Remember, you need to plan and prepare for converting that location to a temporary video shoot so everything goes without a hitch. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it and this was helpful. Let us know any other questions you have in the comments below. We'll see you on location.